Hey customizers, welcome to the next adventure at Talking Hands Customs. To all my subscribers, what's up? And to those of you joining us for the first time, what's up? We're doing a Tiger Force Tiger Sting with a twist. We're going to call it the Mark II probably. And it's actually going to have two sort of different ideas attached into it. And I find that with something like this, when you come up with an idea for a custom, it's almost like the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game, where if you took something like Tiger Force and you made it Arctic Tiger Force, that would work. But if you went, this is Arctic Tiger Force if I switch the colors around and use the figure colors as well, blah, blah. Like, if you stretched it out too much, you're kind of breaking that suspension of disbelief. But at the end of the day, it's your custom. Do what you want. So in this case, I've linked two ideas together where not only are we doing a Tiger Sting Mark II, but it's going to be in prototype colors. Super cool. If you haven't seen that before, it's actually on the box of the original Tiger Sting. I'll throw a picture up in a little bit so you can, when we just start discussing color layout. In the meantime, I've broken down the parts, and as you may have noticed, I've already primed my upper hull here. But let's take a look at the chassis and talk about some considerations before we begin. So the Tiger Sting itself has it uses the 1989 Brazil-made Vamp hull and stuff with Mark II bits on it. If you've never seen a Tiger Sting before, you'll certainly see one in a few minutes when I pop the picture up. So we're going to be using Vamp Mark I parts with Stinger turret and roof and doors. So for the Stinger, I'm going to get these, I'm going to interchange them all the time. For the Jeep that I'm using, there we go. It's a Vamp Mark I. So it's got the green hubcaps, and it's got that gray, green, brown color hull on it, and I need to make this whole thing black. So what I want to do is I'm going to attempt to mask off the axles here you can't remove these, at least I can't. So that's going to be a matter of putting tape on it and then rolling the axle and wrapping the tape around, because I'd like to preserve that as much as I can along with that glorious squeak. And then even the wheels on this one, the tires I should say, are going to be painted black. So the chassis is one thing, but the wheels are going to be something else. And eventually these hubcaps are actually going to be red, according to the prototype. So if I spray all this black, could I put red over top? Yes, there are certain red paints that have very high opacity, which means in a couple of coats, they're red again. I still prefer the method of priming with a light color and then putting on my primary color, whether it be red, green, whatever, depending on. So the consideration for this, aside from trying to wrap up the axles, is making sure you get paint up in the wheel wells and everything too, because if you don't, you'll notice it later and it'll bug the heck out of you. So we might as well do all of the fine maneuvering to get the paint in there right off the bat and make sure that we don't forget anything. And this is where you can employ a combination. So for those of you new to the channel, I use spray cans. I use my airbrush a lot. Especially in the wintertime where I live, because it's 7 months of the year and it's minus bajillion degrees, Fahrenheit and Celsius. And I also use brushes, because you can actually use them all interchangeably. Don't view an airbrush as a replacement for a brush. It's an augmentation to a brush. And spray cans, well, they can be a little bit messy, but you can finesse your technique a bit. There's some other videos on that, so check those out. To make your projects come alive. So I don't ever take a tool out of my toolbox, because if it works once, it'll work again. So there's the lower hull there. That still needs cleaning and everything else. I've primed the upper hull and the bustle for the gas cans. I do have gas cans somewhere in my spare parts bin, I think. So if I do, then I'll certainly be including those as well. What I've done here is I've primed the whole thing inside and out. And what I've found is that in certain projects, when you think you can't see it, you put it all back together after everything is said and done, and you can see it, which means you got to take everything apart, repair any removed paint, blah, blah, blah. So in this case, for the Vamp Jeep and things like the His Tank, and depending on the vehicle, just take a look at it before you take it apart. See where you can see, and then make sure you paint the whole thing. If you're when in doubt, paint the whole thing. So I've got primer inside and out on this on all angles, and be sure to make sure you get the little the roll bar here from all the different angles as well. This one required a little bit of repair. The factory glue for the roll cage had come undone, so I just used some Tamiya extra fine glue, and it basically runs like water to repair that. This will come out if you pry it out, because like I said, it's factory glued in place, and after 40 odd years, the glue's a little weak or whatever in some cases. But you don't really need to. I found that you can paint that just fine, but to your taste, whatever you like. What I did notice though is that when I sprayed this, I forgot to take off the headlight sticker, so that's something I'm going to have to address. It happens, right? I do get excited when this stuff goes on, and sometimes like, oh wow, this is going to be so cool. And then I forget to do stuff. And I've still got the bumper here that needs to get primed anyway. So that's the upper hull. Now for the canvas bits. These are from an original Stinger. So aside from a mild cleaning that's required here, these are going to be all black, just like the original Tiger Sting. So when you're doing stuff like this is eventually going to end up yellow, the upper hull. This is a heavy friction point because it's a nice snug fit. So even if I put this on the upper hull now and started moving it, it would remove the primer. Aside from cure time and clear coating and all that jazz, it's just because it's such a tight friction fit. So when you're doing a custom like this, if you want to have it on display, what I like to do is, quite honestly, before I assemble it or finish assembling it, I will take the figures I want to put in it and I'll put it in, and then I will put the doors on, and they'll likely stay in there until I decide to move them. Minimal movement on parts like this is better because, like I said, it will peel up the paint, and you don't want to do that because then you're constantly chasing touch-ups. And that's just the reality of doing customs. Same thing with figures, is that you can see custom painted figures, and even the best of the best artists out there, they put them in a pose, they paint them, and they stay in that pose. So it's a risk of the game that we play, right? That's not a big deal, but it's just something to keep in mind. I've got the Stinger launcher here because we are going to be using Cobra Stinger missiles for this, which is why we're making the Tiger Sting Mark II. I don't know if I'm going to leave this black or not. I actually have to look again at the photo of the prototype. Leaving it black would be the easy way, and we can call it the lazy way if you want. I don't care. It would certainly go with the scheme, staying black, because the yellow is going to be very bright. But I also want to balance it out with the hull, because the chassis, although you can only see the side of it, the wheels are going to be black, the chassis is going to be black. You're going to see inside, that's going to be black. So maybe making this yellow will help the rest of the yellow pop a bit, because we do want to make sure that the Tiger scheme is balanced. We haven't spoken about balance in a while, but that's when you have your pattern scaled to your vehicle. So I wouldn't use a pencil and do pencil thin tiger stripes on it. I wouldn't take a 4-inch house brush and slap it on there either. Scale to the vehicle, and the colors are balanced. So yellow is the primary color of Tiger Force, so that should be the dominant color, whether by volume or by brightness, etc. And then you have to choose your accent colors accordingly. They should be within the scheme, but how much goes where, also dependent on the scheme you're doing. And with Tiger Force, it is kind of prescriptive in that, your white would go to about there, the brown would go to about there. And in this case, you don't have to guess so much because the vamp hull has already been done in Tiger Force, so you just mimic that and you're good to go. Unless you're doing a variant of an idea, in which case fill your boots. So I may make this yellow, I may not. I'd have to probably pry this apart. I'm still kind of thinking about that because of the way that this comes. There is a tab. Where's my little, I'll use this as a pointer. There is a tab right up in there, which should release relatively nicely, in which case I'll disassemble this and paint it in sub-assemblies, excuse me. So anyway, that's the launcher, long story short. Now I have a collection of missiles here, and not just in number, but in type, because we have vintage and modern Stinger missiles. These are from the 25th anniversary, if I remember correctly. So are they the same? Yes. Are they the same? No. And I'll show you here, is that they're actually a slightly different size. Actually, no, they're okay. Well, one looks, one's a little bit bigger than the other. So aside from that, they're a different color of red. They're slightly different. And the biggest difference, which, well, it really all depends on your philosophy and how you look at the world. But the biggest difference in my mind is the fact that this is covered in rivets. So you can see, let's get that to focus. See all those rivets there, all those little bumps? Yeah, that's a feature of most modern G.I. Joe vehicles. They put rivets over everything to make it look more realistic. However, when you want to change something or even putting on the original stickers, it makes it a pain in the butt. And here's an original Stinger missile that has nothing. The good news is that they both fit onto, I think the modern slot is maybe a hair bigger. They both fit onto the launcher, no problem. So I'm still debating. The red is kind of close, but honestly, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably just going to end up painting all the missiles a new red, it'll be similar, but that way what it'll do is it'll unify all the projects. When I do things like this, if I can keep something in the original plastic color, I will. And then I'll just manage luster and sheen to try and blend it in with the paint job and everything else. But in some cases, you just have to bite the bullet and be like, okay, you know what, that's different enough to be irritating, so I'm going to fix that. So they'll likely get painted. I mean, who are we kidding? Canvas and doors are covered. Those are going to be all black. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but and they'll get some Tiger Force stickers on them. Then I've got a 3D printed steering wheel. This is from KB 3D Prints. I don't mind using 3D printed parts at all. I love it actually, because sometimes it's for something like a steering wheel, if it's missing, it's not such a big deal. I've done customs where the steering wheel is still missing, but I am slowly replacing them with these 3D printed parts because they're good quality depending on where you get them from, and they're much cheaper than trying to find an original part. And because you're altering the vehicle already, do you need to have the original steering wheel in there? I don't think so, but the opinion on your project is yours. So that's the size of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get cracking on this thing. I'm going to get the rest of the parts cleaned up, and then we're going to try something a little new here as far as format goes, and I'm going to start painting everything here. There's nothing secret to my technique. If you want to know how I use my airbrush and stuff like that, there's other videos about that, and I may interject some stuff later on. But anyway, we're just going to get cracking and get some color on this bad boy. Let's go. Okay, so now we've got all of the base colors applied to everything. Let's talk about doing the tiger stripes. So I'm going to be using Vallejo Primer Black, as I normally do for my black colors. And I'll be using a detail brush for it. You may have this desire to use a wider brush to do the tiger stripes because they're bigger. Honestly, it's better to start with a pointier brush so you can get that nice fine bottom tip to your tiger stripes. So something I picked up, a good habit I picked up from watching people paint their tabletop gaming miniatures and such. And it certainly works well here. So now all I'm going to do is a couple of stripes here and there. With the prototype Tiger Sting, the black stripes weren't very stripy and they weren't very tigery. So I'm actually going to be doing the style that is on the regular commercial release of the retail release of the Tiger Sting. And the trick to doing this, if you haven't heard it already, is make sure you have a damp brush and then you load the brush with paint. So it's not like scooping the brush into the paint and having a heap of it on the brush itself. It's making sure that the paint gets in between all the little bristles. So you get a nice, it'll be finer than that, but you get the idea. Be a nice coated brush. Of course, that air bubble is going to stay there and do its thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is we're going to start small and build up our technique and our confidence to then do the larger stripes that are far more visible. And you can see here, these grates are yellow. They're going to be black, but you can't really pop them off through the bottom like you can on some other variants of the Jeep. And you could mask them off and airbrush them, but I want to get in there with a brush and just, practice. It's always good to practice. So the first thing I'm going to do is there's at least 2 stripes down here. So I'm going to do a small triangle here first and not go over the top because on the real thing, it's not there either. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm lightly drawing with the brush. I'm barely even touching it to the plastic. So kind of doing this a little upside down for this first one. Just like that. And I'm trying to work the brush so that we get a nice fine tip at the end. If you have to go super light to the point where it's almost like you think you did a brush stroke, but there's no paint on the model, that's actually kind of where you want to be. So there's the first one done there, and it looks quite nice. So we'll get a second one on there, roughly about there. The trick to doing Tiger Force is spacing out the stripes. Do it to your own taste, but I would say it's probably a good idea to pick a relatively consistent distance and definitely pick a scaled distance to your subject. Okay, so we got those 2 there. Now the third one, it's going to be right about at the bottom there, and it's going to have a little bit of a curve to it. So we're just going to draw a line down right to about there. And we're going to go probably right there, curve it up and in a little bit, just to give it that kind of, almost make it look like a tooth. And then we're just going to fill it in with the brush. There you go. And you may want to wait, depending on the black you're using. If you don't get it solid black in one coat, that's fine. Don't rush it. Don't force it either. And you want to make sure your paint's not too wet or else it'll run. It's better to have to go over it more than once than getting it done in one shot. So now there's a little bit of a bump there. I'm just going to change the angle on this. There we go. It's nice and right there. And I'll go back and touch that up with more paint once it dries. But the initial drawing is done, so that's good. Now we're going to do another one. And we're going to do it up here. This one's going to come just like that, I think. Just like that. And then we're going to fill it in. That's all there is to it. Unfortunately, I don't say too much while I'm doing this, especially during the drawing process, right? You got to concentrate a little bit. But while I'm finishing this up, I gotta tell you how much I love Tiger Force. Remember, I got a smattering of Tiger Force vehicles for my birthday. I never had the whole collection when I was a kid, but I had the Tiger Sting, and man, did I love it. Only as an adult did I hear that not everybody liked Tiger Force, and I was like, what do you mean? I get it. You know, it's supposed to be camouflage, but it's bright yellow and black and blah, blah, blah. I just love the theme of it. So there we go. And now the next one here is actually a tiger stripe that goes all the way along the top. So we're going to be careful with that and draw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 dots there, and that'll kind of landmark where it comes over the corner. Then I'm going to draw it with a little bit of a curve, nothing too crazy, but we'll make it a little bit longer. Flesh out that bottom bit. There we go. And then I'm just going to fill it in. And there we go. It's drawn on nicely. It's not done. We still have to put more coats on it, but it's almost like we're doing the sketch of it first. I just got to hold this off camera for a sec here just to fine tune something. Not everything could be caught on there because of the angles. And I'm trying a new setup, so by all means, let me know in the comments below what you think about this new style. I may try a few different formats before I get the nail on the head there. But so there we go. We got another one there. And then we just got to do the ones on the side here, and we'll be good to go. Okay, and for these next 3, there's 3 points, but not 3 full tiger stripes. I know that's not going to make much sense just hearing it, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Essentially what we're doing is with these triangles here that have nowhere to go, we're actually adding another one here that doesn't have a tailing end or whatever, or point of origin on the top here. So I'm not trying to 100% match through shape or pattern or whatever, but getting it close is fun. And the idea is to try and make this look as much as a Hasbro release as possible. And there you go. So now the next 2 tiger stripes are going to be slightly angular. So they start here at this vent and then they come kind of down sideways here. So to be evenly spaced in this area here, but cut across this yellow space on the top. And I'm just going to freshen up my brush a bit here. Re-moisten the brush, as it were. It may seem like, why would you, in case you're wondering why you would do that, is that it's acrylic paint, so once you put it on there, it starts drying. I mean, really, any paint starts drying. So you may have to just wash your brush off real quick, re-moisten it, and then reapply paint to it, and then keep going. Because after a while, that paint will build up on the brush, and then it'll start affecting the quality of the paint that you lie down. And I know my hand's blocking the screen for 2 seconds here, but there's a shape that's bugging me. There we go. Just fix up that triangle a little bit there. And I'll tidy up that upper edge as well. Yeah, it looks like it was supposed to go somewhere, but didn't, I guess, in the tampering process. That's fine. So the next thing, what I'm going to do is I'm more concerned about the side look than the top look, because the top of this tiger stripe is very wavy, but I definitely want it to go in some relatively, I want the spacing to be good on the side. I can fudge it up top is basically what I'm getting at. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the line for the one tiger stripe here. And I'm going to draw the other line there to close it off. Like so. And then we're just going to fill it in. Like so. Yeah, keeping your brush moist is key, because if you don't, you'll have uneven chunks and hardening paint in there, and it can look sloppy. And then I'm going to do the third stripe, and then I'll draw the upper deck parts here. Just like that. See how fine you can get with the brush? It's almost like using a pencil or a super fine marker. That's just a light hand on the brush. There is no need for you to get this covered in one coat. If you do by accident, great. If you don't, not to worry, because you're going to go back and add some more paint after. And sometimes you might have to wait for it to dry. Some paints don't like being painted immediately over top of each other. Some people, myself included, have reported that with Tamiya, where if you put some down, you want to put a second coat on before it's fully dry, it'll actually remove the first coat. Some people have never had that problem, lucky them, because of what they thin their paints with potentially. But there we go there. And now I'm just going to connect them to the top. So we're going to go start there, draw it down. I'm just letting the surface kind of guide the brush a bit. I'm not trying too hard to maintain a shape. I find if you do that, then you're going to open yourself up. And don't try and make it too squiggly either, right? The camouflage matters in that the style of the shape. Like if I had made these all squiggly as opposed to kind of tiger stripe looking, then it would break the illusion of Tiger Force, right? So like I wouldn't make digital Tiger Force, for example, unless I wanted to come up with a whole new idea for Tiger Force, because then it just wouldn't look right. And that's the unfortunate part, is that when you're doing stuff like this is, you know, if the ratio of tiger stripes to yellow isn't right, then it looks off. And then you might have to start again, which isn't a problem. I mean, you'll have to start again on lots of projects. It happens to me quite often. It's just that because the yellow is so bright and such a weak color to apply, and black is such a strong color, it's a pain in the butt. And that's where you would use a gray primer to neutralize the difference, if that makes any sense. It's almost like you're walking the paint back to where it needs to be, because you would never be able to accomplish it just by constantly adding yellow to it, because the yellow is too weak. There you go. I'm a little off from the original. I'm not worried about it. The idea is there. The idea is definitely there. Okay, so now as I finish up this tiger stripe, what I'm going to do is, through the magic of whatever, I'm going to, let's call it the editing process. I'm going to get the other side all done up, and you can see what I mean for the balance of tiger stripes. Because watching me do this whole thing is a little redundant now that you've seen how I'm tackling it with this one side of tiger stripes. I wanted to do one side for you complete, so that way it could serve as a guide for you if you needed one. And yeah, that's the size of that. So we're going to call that one done for now. And I'll fill in these grates too, but you don't need to see that. That's straightforward, just painting. So give me a flash and we'll come right back at you. Did I say flash? I did. Okay, and here we go with all the paint done. And I went ahead and clear coated it as well. In this case, I used Vallejo satin varnish to give it that ever so slight, I should say, sheen to it, which to me reminds me of the original. And it was interesting because I just pulled all the tape off the axles there, because as I was working on the project, the squeak had gone away, but it's back, which means now we're totally good to go, because it's not a vamp if it doesn't squeak, right? So there it is. Okay, and right now we've got the hull. So I went in and, like, as I said, you know, pretty straightforward thing there. I've blackened up the engine vents there, and I blackened up the tiger stripes there and even them out to make sure they look good. I've got the yellow bar in there. I've got the steering wheel popped in as well, which you can just make out right there. And what I did is I took the gas cage off because it slides off. I put the gas cans in and then I put them on. So in looking at that, I should be able to get the stickers on there without pulling them off. I don't like messing around with those bits because, quite frankly, it's a high friction point that'll pull some paint off. So in this case, now I'm going to put the body back on it. And there's always going to be some touch-ups to be done, right? But if we can do things smartly, maybe we can minimize it. So there we go. I've hooked the back end over the taillight, so there's no damage there. Now I just have to, of course, delicately play with the headlamp there. Let's get my tweezers back out so I'm not playing around. too much. There we go. I'll just hold that up there while at the same time pushing back and down on the hood to get us where we need to be. Now I'm looking back behind the winch there to see if there's any real paint damage. There's maybe a little bit, so I'll probably just slap some black paint down there. And I'll check the bottom too, and it seems okay for the tab there. So we're going to leave it as is, and we now have back end popped up a bit. So just very carefully, yeah, there we go. So I'll have to do a little touch up there on the corner of the light, but that's fine. So there we go. A little finicky to try and get back together, but you get the idea. So I can do that in the touch-up phase. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave everything else as is because it's time to get the stickers on. Let's just check all the parts here. So we got everything, got the oh my goodness, the satin on it, and it's now had several hours to just sit there and look good and cure. So we have all the parts ready to go, and I couldn't be more excited. Like I said, I love Tiger Force. I love the Tiger Sting, and being able to make something like this is just super cool. So I'll get the launcher in there. The launcher's in there. Oh, I keep pushing down on that. No wonder that's making that sound. There we go. Seem to be okay with everything. I just did a friction check there. So anytime you add paint on things, right, that decreases tolerances, and you might have scraping and banging it around, all that kind of stuff. But so far, so good. Plus, I got to see if there's a figure I want in there. But I'm not too sure. Let's just get some missiles on there because I'm getting to that phase now where it's super exciting, excuse me, to be next to done this project. Not that I waited for it to be done. It's been fun, but you get this close to the end, and it's already taken a huge amount of self-discipline not to put this together way before I should have. So yeah, let's get some stickers on here. Where'd I put them? All right, there it is, completed, flaws and all. So, as with any custom, I got, I'm going to say it's Lightfoot in there, but I don't know who. Doesn't really matter, pretty sure it's Lightfoot. Anyway, got a Joe in there, got the roof on, and there you have it. So we took a Vamp Mark I with some Stinger augmented bits, and we made a Tiger Sting Mark II. What makes it a Mark II is we used some prototype colors, we're using a different turret than the original, etc., etc. And we have ourselves a nice new vehicle for the shelf. So to all my subscribers, thank you very much. For all of you out there, I hope your projects are going fantastically. And until the next time, be safe and have fun.
Duke is back! We'll stop Cobra with Tiger Force, the roughest, toughest jump force ever. Get those captured Cobra vehicles repainted and re-armed. They're part of Tiger Force now. Tiger Force, showing the colors, yellow and black. Hungry to fight and ready to attack. No fighting MkII Joe. Tiger Shark is ready. So's the Tiger Cat. Tiger Force, attack. No fighting MkII Joe. Tiger Force. Tiger Force,
vehicles and figures sold separately.